I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to watch some fishing.
I want to know what I did wrong in this situation. That's what I want to know.
You did everything just right, Jacob. Just exactly the way it was supposed to be done.
I'm with Jacob too because I want to see.
Y'all did perfect.
What we missed.
I know. It's crazy to see how each person, each angler has one little style, what they think is high percentage areas.
And if you land on them, it can happen.
And always when I go into these things in the fall, what was going I get to the point where I'm like, listen, no one's going to cover more water than I am for the top water. So
every time I came by you, Jacob, and you were throwing that buzz bait, I was like, I just wanted to turn my head because I knew any minute.
Hey, I can't help it. I can't. It's an addicting bite. Can't help it.
Strap in.
You ever look back at one of these and just shake your head, even if you're watching it at home and you're just like, man, I cannot believe I missed that, or it took me that long to dial that in. And that's why, say again.
Every one of them.
Yeah, I mean, you're just like, how did I miss that? Or why did it take me so long to dial that in? If I just dialed that in the second period instead of the third period, I'd have made it to the championship round. But you learn from this. We learn from this just like, anybody who's going to sit and watch us talk about it today. And it makes us all better fishermen at the end of the day.
Just flip.
I don't recommend that riprap wall right there to anybody in the fall.
Don't recommend it?
No.
The other night they got on the ends of these.
Really? I'm serious. There wasn't nothing on it.
Right out here.
Really?
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I would have thought that's like a good deal. Ooh.
It looked good.
Did Taylor just say catfish?
I know that.
I don't know. Who caught the first one? Who is that?
That's all.
Otter.
Hey, you got him in a 2-minute penalty out of the deal, huh?
Yep. One of these times, one's going to get off and that back fin's going to go right into that big toe.
Obvious piece of cover in this creek. So.
Is it just me, or does it sound like when you drop a fish on a carpet that the officials are just locked and loaded, like 2-minute penalty? They're just so, you know what I mean? They have.
like throwing a steak in a pit bull.
It is like a hook set. They're like, 2-minute penalty. They're like, they're quick on it. That's it. I'm like, man, you didn't even let that thing hit the carpet good before you throwed that out there to me.
They got that whistle in their mouth before they're ready to go.
I feel like this bait right here can still catch them in these conditions. It almost feels better. This little buzz bait is not the ticket. It wasn't the ticket the other day.
See, right there, you talked yourself out of it, Mark.
Automatically.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
Right now, it was not the deal. This given day right here, it was not.
I even threw a whopper plopper and ruled that thing out pretty quick. And I was like, and if I, just one of those deals, timing was the key.
Yeah.
Edwin cranking around, look like. He's cranking. No, yeah. Crankbait.
Square bill. Yep.
Cranking.
And when I showed up, I just knew it was going to be square bill, spinnerbait. I just knew all that stuff was going to dominate. Buzzbait.
The conditions were perfect for that.
I'm waiting on you to show us how it's done, Mark.
Well,
what'd you catch that one on, Mark?
That riprap is when I start putting it together.
Good, too. It's on a Berkeley square bull.
I've been to Fort Gibson before, and the water's never been high like that. And I always catch them off just a little bit. They're never super deep for me there, but I always catch them offshore. And I think that messed with me quite a bit when I got there was how high the water was. And there was so much flooded vegetation to fish. It wasn't like Lake of the Ozarks where it was super clear where they would come and get something. You had to really get on bushes or get isolated single bushes or, it's kind of like what Edwin's on there, just where there's not so much stuff to flip or wind something by that they're just like way back in there where they can go to the bank,
Yeah. Well, just like what Jacob said earlier, he, with that, like casting that buzzbait, he's going to outcast everybody, make more casts and catch those kamikazes. If he does it enough, that's going to happen. Well, I got one bite in that first round. It was towards the end of the first round that clued me into you know, going into this round right here that was going to help me. And I knew then that maybe finding a buzzbait was not. It was a deal, but it wasn't the deal. You know?
Everything that.
And that's something else that goes on a lot everywhere we fish is there's more than one deal going on. And if you get onto the wrong one, you'll fall short of a guy that's doing something like, you know, whether it's Jacob or something that you're on. That's why you have to be in a short practice span, if not the Cup series, but on the Bass Pro Tier, you have to make sure that we do several different things to keep it all honest. Otherwise, you'll miss something, getting onto something soon. So
yeah,
we don't have that time and that luxury in the Cups. You've got to go with instinct and go with what's out in front of you.
Yeah.
Jacob, what was that on?
I had to flip that one up, buddy. I had to flip that one up. I actually did slow down, but that was just a pretty perfect little corner. I couldn't help it. There were a couple green little bushes. I mean, I wasn't going to flip every little nook and cranny, but listen, when you come across one of them, I was like, there's got to be out here is a little shallow island that actually got flooded. Like, you could keep up on top. And like, there's got to be one there. And so I threw a bug feeder around. I'm like, I didn't get a bite. I'm like,
baits to slow down with is that little Guggen Baits Bandito bug. The race
that one right there is up. I got a bite. I might have got on the right thing, but I got my messed up.
I'm glad you put that flipping stick down. All I got to say. Your little dinger should have been dinging.
I was just like, but the problem was, this is the issue. There's only so many places on that body of water in that area or anywhere on that lake that you felt like that you could get where there was isolated trees, or because a lot of times you go down these edges and they'd have so much water to get back into. We had a couple really good stretches that I seen that I thought, man, this should be a really good little zone right here, where you can really slow down. Everything else, if you slow down on the wrong stretch, you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
Or two anglers that jump off the page at me.
And Marty always gets so intense and excited on this. That's so good. He gets all riled up.
I'll tell you what's crazy, guys, is I have a DVD player, and I believe still do. And I was going to put a DVD in for the kiddos, and I popped it open this like 2 weeks ago, week ago, right, you know, and out comes Classic Winter Patterns with Marty Stone. And I'm like, I don't know where it came from or how long I've had it, but I've got a picture of it, and I'm just gonna use that in my arsenal of Marty, Marty propaganda to be able to go in and just kind of give him a hard time on, because now we listen to him on commentation, and then back in the day, you know, I used to like when I don't know if I was snowed in or something watching Classic Patterns, but it just goes to show you how quick things change. And one day you're watching them, the next day he's talking about you, and hopefully you can stand next to him and get to hold a cup.
That's right. Oh, that was just definitely a fish landing violation. You see how that it headed? Fish's lips. See, my fish would have called
definitely below the gunnel.
You should. I mean, it was just a little bit high.
Definitely below the gunnel.
I mean, you know, I'm just gonna call that like, yeah, it's okay.
I'm starting to put it together right here, right in this moment right now where I'm at is where I really the light bulb's going off. I picked up a swim jig with a little Strike King Menace, and that's when I figured out that they were on two different little deals. High in the water column on the green bushes, and then whenever you get to like where those cypress trees are, where it's standing, something hard standing, they were at the base of them. Kind of those two different deals were the two light bulbs.
Yep. You see, I got on that one deal where I was catching them on a buzz bait where they were on the green bushes. They were up suspended real high, but I did not get on the standing tree deal. I did not, because I'm throwing that buzz bait by there, and every time I go by a green bush, want to blow up on it. Might be a short one, non-scoreable, but at least I knew they were suspended. I actually catch some other things. That was like, oh, son of a gun, you sneaky sucker.
Yeah, it was a two-part deal, man. In that particular zone, standing timber, they were right at the base of it. And then if you had a green bush, I couldn't get them to come all the way up and commit, but I could swim a swim jig around it. And there was lots of those little threadfin shad and gizzards all around those trees, and they looked real dark. And that's when I got to that smaller profile Menace, and it just seemed like it was the deal, you know.
I look
they
at
ate it high in the water column.
Yeah, I look at the score tracker there, and I wonder why I'm even on this show at this particular point. Being, I'm tied for dead last down there, but it comes on pretty quick. And I got hung up on that spinnerbait, and I just thought I was going to cover enough water to make it happen. And we'll see how it comes out. But yeah, I don't feel like I've alternated enough baits, and I don't know why I got stuck in that rut, but that's what happens. It doesn't just happen to me. It happens to you guys. Everywhere else you get onto something the previous round and you think that's the deal. And that's kind of, I feel like what happened to me.
Started throwing it this
Look at sir, he's doinking. Mark straight up. Creep.
Yeah, when you see those power poles go down, he's got something in his mind and it's working. That's it.
Just, hey, I would not want to fish behind you. I fished behind you on that stretch and I didn't know. I'm like, just trying to catch the easy one. You done caught them all.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to feel sorry for either one of you two guys. Are like in the top 5 every single round. So one time when a brother comes from behind, us minimum wage guys that work down in the basement seem to get a little raise every now and then and come up there. It's hard to feel sorry for you guys living up in luxury all the time.
You know how something gets in your mind and you don't forget it. I'll tell you, I'm going to dig on my phone here in a minute and I'm going to put it on the screen. I got a picture of my son holding a magazine cover not too long ago in my living room that he dug out from underneath over by my safe. And it's got you, Mark Rose, holding up you. And it says back to back and it's got a picture of you. And he's like, look, Daddy, your friend. So, yeah, I don't feel too sorry for you, Mark Rose, whenever you don't make a cut. I promise you. You've thrashed thrashed us for a long time.
Mark
and you've done the same.
Christy. If it's like a catch on buzz bait, I'm gonna be like, well, come on.
Me? No.
No. Yeah, that's not a buzz bait.
Whatever he had, it was choked.
Who is that?
Yeah.
Christy.
15 ounces.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah,
I was expecting him to get on flooded ramp or a roadbed somewhere with like a swing head or something and just crush him.
He's in 3rd place.
Get our stuff on the board.
What are you doing, Sprague, right here? You cranking?
I am cranking right there. I'm either I think I'm throwing a bladed jig, to be honest with you. I think I'm throwing the old Thunder Cricket. But that was on some open rock. Because I think we changed zones in this particular in this one, right? We're
fishing that the lower end of the lake.
Yes. I was trying to start off with some of that open water, and my problem was I was fishing on experience there, on history, and that's the last thing in the world that I should have ever done. You know how that goes, guys. I mean, I just go do some, instead of going looking for bass, you go to an area where you know they've lived previously, and it takes you a while to either kick it or you just die with it, you know?
But I'm not about to go and start running offshore down here.
He's talking about fishing offshore right there.
It's in his mind, and that's something that guys don't understand is even though he's fishing and we're fishing down the bank and doing what we have to do, our minds are wondering about, man, I would love to go look, I'd like to go do something a little different, especially if things aren't going as quickly as we wanted them to go.
Have you ever been able to graph them there?
No, they don't graph really well there. I tell you what I've been able to do there is graph like small piles and little rock piles and rock veins there. And then actually you have to just fish it, because I think that there's a lot of catfish, a lot of carp, buffalo, and trash fishing are, in that particular lake. Drum, tons of drum in that lake. And, if you can get around the right stuff, once you figure out their depth range that they're in, you can usually, like you said, catch them on a swing head or something like that, or a football jig. They bite really well there. They eat a crankbait really well there. But as you guys can see right there, how flooded that place was, they kind of just came straight out of play, and you just had to go and grind it out, power fish.
I actually did dob around right there on that dang flooded island. I dobbed for a good minute. That's the only spot I had flipping, and I said, man, forget this.
The one thing I do remember about this event is the amount of herring that were feeding on shad up in the bushes and in the flooded stuff. You drive by and you'd see it, and normally if you're on a body of water, you swing in there and there's fish feeding on all that bait. And some of the areas that I went to, I would see all the birds, and I'm thinking it's fixing to go down in here, and I would get 0 bites in there. But when I would get away from the birds and all that bait, it seemed like I would get more bites. I don't know if there was so much bait in there that those fish were gorged up, or if the fish hadn't made it to that bait yet, or what it was. But I did notice that.
I tried cranking stuff on a lot of these. Couldn't get a lot of bites, and a lot of them are laying outside the cover.
You know, one thing that we may not have talked about to all you viewers that are watching this with us is, and Jacob or Jeff said something about it, but we started up the river, and we're at Fort Gibson, but it was divided into a couple different zones. So far up until this point, we were way up the river in the top portion where you couldn't go any farther. And then this particular sudden death round, we have 2 days of it, sudden death 1 and 2. And you'll get to see 2, coming up next week, I think. But this particular round, we're all the way down at the dam, the very lower end.
I got on that spinner bait, and obviously in the first round, in the first round, I really started putting it together, and then I started thinking I was fishing behind somebody else, whether it was, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Aaron Martins is who I was actually fishing behind, and I couldn't figure out because I'd get bites down a stretch, and then I wouldn't get any more bites for a long period of time, and I'm like, and come to find out, I'm pretty sure Aaron had fished a lot of those stretches in front of me. And he was throttling them, and just there's certain guys you don't want to fish behind. Aaron's one of those. In fact, all you guys are, but Aaron is definitely one that.
There's certain guys that are super methodical in the way that you'll go around the corner. If you see me, you're like, on a buzz. There's 7 of them you left behind.
Yep.
Like if you look in the corner and you see Andy Morgan, you don't go.
You better go across the lake.
You know what? Nah.
Or somebody like Mark Davis, he'll sit there and catch every one of them.
Like you'll catch every single one of them that bite. You watch the red crest, see what happens to you. It hurts your feelings.
Whatever.
See, I'll just tell you guys up front, I'm passionate. If you guys haven't noticed, like I get fired up. I want to catch every bass that bites me, and when I lose one, I begin to wonder, does that happen to everybody else, or is it just me? Does everybody have that many jump off? You start questioning your action or your rod. Did you do something wrong? Is it how they're eating it? Are they, when I lose one, I get frustrated.
Yeah. We work so hard for that one bite.
You do. And it's a mental.
This place right here right now.
Look at that.
Taylor's getting dialed in there, and he's flipping.
Yeah. On a bank see, this is the thing. If you watch a lot of this, so it's so interesting to watch that. It's a defined bank. There's not a lot of cover. It's deeper.
Like where Mark's at right there.
They're going to be same thing with Mark. Yep. Same kind of stuff. It was really isolated stuff. There's not 150,000 bushes. They can't get out there. You
can't go out right here, but that gave me a couple good key bites to work my day with,
Ayler's really adapted well to the format. If you go back and watch Brent in the beginning of MLF, before we formed the Bass Pro Tour, Brent's really adapted to the style of MLF, and he's a student of the game. You can tell he studies and changes. He doesn't just fish offshore, because I remember Brent, when I fished against him on FLW, he spent his time offshore a lot of times looking and idling and things like that. So just goes to show you how good of a fisherman that he really is.
At this point in time, 14.
One of the most versatile that there is.
That's a good one right there.
Still doing work.
That's a good one right there.
Dominant around.
What's he throwing?
He's throwing a big game hog.
That's what it looked like.
A full-size game hog. That's it's funny because he asked me at this event when I got eliminated if I had any, if he could have some game, have some. So, and I was like really, how that goes, because I'm out, and I'm like, something I have an abundance of, possibly, you know what I mean? And here I am just not throwing it. So, but that's just
he's throwing a watermelon. He's throwing a watermelon color, like watermelon batters.
I think he honestly went through everything he had, and it didn't matter color wise at that point. I think it was just that bulky profile bait and that stained water for some reason, and I think that's why he was probably getting those better quality bites too.
In stained water, even a good heavy stained water, almost muddy. I have caught a lot of fish on watermelon, and not a lot of people throw it. It does really well in good stained water.
Do you contrast it with a little bit of chartreuse or anything, or not?
Yep. Maybe. But watermelon is a great stained water color.
Stay on there, barely.
Huh.
That's good to know. I guess, I mean, don't get me wrong. We've all been in a bind before and not had the exact color we wanted to throw. So you alter, and you just resort to something else, and it works. But then you kind of write it off to a fluke and maybe don't do it at, the next time. So you're like, I'll just have more black and blue next time. Something along those lines.
Yeah. It wasn't good in this round.
The watermelon wasn't the key.
Oh, black and blue, man.
There we go.
Oh,
Caught
faithful.
on the top water and
Oh,
got
I
it.
did catch that one on a plopper right there. You're talking about. I caught me one on a plop.
See,
You know
I'm thankful for fish like that. Getting Jacob
If
just
that
off.
would, if they didn't bite, I would have slowed down.
Yeah,
But
he caught just enough to keep him chasing them rabbits.
Hey, but most of the time, the rabbits normally pop out of that hole enough. I'll catch a few of them. It's so good.
Yeah.
Exactly right. That's why I'm thankful for this
God.
go round.
Gosh, it messes
We
me
got
up.
it. Makes me feel better about.
I tell you what's crazy to me is I see all the rods on the deck of you guys' boat. And then, like you said, look, Jacob just caught one of popper and now he's over there flipping. That just goes to show anybody who's watching this show, who's really paying attention, how versatile and how many different ways that in a day a guy will go through how many rods to try to dial something in to figure out what's the best way and the fastest way to catch them. And you have a rod rig for different scenarios. So, you get it, Jacob and Mark, you get it because you guys have so many rods rigged. Why do you have 22 rods on the deck of your boat for that one application, for that one dock that you swing around, or those two docks, or that bush, or that you happen to see a jut out and you need a crankbait to throw up there and that long point? You just got to have all those things, rigged up. That's why you spend all that time in your boat at night, Jacob, out there putting new line on and tying on different baits.
I'll tell you the one guy who does more tackle work than anybody's Martin. Like he cannot stand not having 7 backups. And he'll sit there and he'll tinker with tackle till 1 in the morning and get up at 5. And then, I got a story tackle, bro. I'm like, what?
After he goes for a run.
Yes. After 5 miles he runs. It's like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna keep working on this tackle.
It's a good one.
It's crazy though.
Brian Thrift gives him a good run for his money.
Thrifty's organized and he's pretty systematic, but I think Aaron's got to have 17 of them rigged. So if he catches them on this spinnerbait, he's got to have 7 of them backups. When he probably won't even. He's probably not even going to make a cast of the spinnerbait right here.
Yeah.
Like so, it's crazy. I don't. Thrift's at least like, all right, I'll throw this. And that works. I'll throw this.
That's Andy Morgan. Andy Morgan's just like, give me that flipping stick. I'll tie a spinnerbait on it. I mean, you don't get that guy. I'm telling you.
That 20-pound line? Yeah.
That's fine. It don't matter.
Yeah, I'll
Shoot,
throw a shake fit on that.
if he can see it, if he can see it that good, I ain't worried about catching him. I'll catch that next one. That's Andy talking right there.
See, I'm going down that same stretch that Mark just caught him on, and I was wandering a vibrating jig around those trees, and I didn't realize he'd already been down there reeling them in.
It's a chunky fish.
Dang, Mark, you got him.
That
He's reeled them in he done reeled all of them in.
Mark, are you in the lead at this point?
Yeah, I think he is. He's got 8
I haven't
pounds.
seen score tracker in a few
Score
seconds.
tracker, I think you got 8 pounds at this point in time. I'm pretty sure you're up there.
Yeah, I caught him on one stretch, and I jump up there a little bit, and then I run into a dry spell.
Yes.
I don't know what the cut weight. Do y'all remember what the cut weight?
14 pounds.
14.
Yeah, 14
14
pounds
pounds.
was the cut weight.
I do remember that.
I was a little bit shocked that we didn't. I know it's the fall, and that's probably the main reason we didn't catch any better quality fish, because this body of water, this lake has a lot of 3-pounders in it. I mean, it's good. It'll have some 4s, and some. Here's the 5s are not as plentiful, but there's a lot of 3s and 4s in this place, and so I thought that the cut weight might be a little low, but ultimately it's not.
Mm-hmm. I fished a tournament on this body of water in the fall.
There's a chunk.
That is a good one.
That's a good.
Hey, that was right. You went right by. So that was when I came. I seen you in that pocket. I came across. I threw a vibrating jig right by that tree. Literally right by that tree. I threw a vibrating jig. I'm winding by one side. And I cast by the other side, and I still haven't figured out. I've not figured out the fact that they're on those timber. So I cut back across the pocket. Mark's in the pocket. I give him that pocket. I go back. I realize that's him. So I go over to the other side. That sucker flips over there and doinks. Gosh, dang! I remember that. I remember that because I look back and I'm like,
One bite on a buzzbait this morning. I've caught one flipping. So I'm like trying to run that same little pattern, but of what they really set up on. The problem is the bait's not up on top.
I had a couple of them blow up on a buzzbait, or some good ones in the tops of the green trees, and they blow up on it. And I didn't get it. So it got me a little bit hooked for a second because I'm like, that sucker bit it right there at the boat.
Yeah, he short strung you.
I got a bite. I got a couple bites on him. I did. I got a bite on him. I got a bite on the fly.
Nope. To get these suckers to commit to that top water. It's unbelievable.
I try. Sometimes I just try too much.
4 ounces.
Those are the kind we need right there. Those are the kind we need.
Bingo.
2+ pounders.
Mark's just laughing, giggling. We're over there with his buzzbait.
Every now and then you get your moment.
Man, that was 2 bites right there on that.
Hey, I had enough bites. If they would have went kamikaze did, I'd had enough bites to qualify. But the problem was they were them fall shad eaters that just don't always like to eat stuff.
Wise man once told me, don't worry about the ones you lost. Worry about the ones you got to catch. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lines out into period 1.
Let's go. I want to get out of here pretty quick because this is a short area.
Dang, Mark, I would love to be in your position.
Something's starting to peek out. I don't know how long that top water bite. It hasn't really been that good, so maybe it can get better with the sun. I'll probably flip a little bit still and throw a vibrating jig, mix it up a little bit.
I think Mark's froze up there.
Like I'd anticipated. We're not doing that bad compared to everybody else. There's a lot of people.
But I think what he was going to
start at the halfway mark, man.
Well, we made a little bit of progress. You know,
I think that Mark, he was playing the game there whenever he wanted to get out of that area pretty quick so nobody would see him in there. I don't know if that's what he was saying or not.
The patterns still seem to be working, but
yeah, it was a short zone. I was really liking that pocket. I felt like I could go back around it, so I wanted to get out of there. So nobody saw me coming out of that creek.
I see you back in that pocket, and I said, "That sucker's doink, and I ain't doing it." That's exactly what I said. I said, "I ain't going to doink."
That pocket had a lot of good, hard-standing cypress trees, green bushes, and they were also schooling out in the middle. And when you see them schooling like that, you know, even though I couldn't catch them schooling, you know, there's a lot of life in that area. So you're going to come back, you know, your instincts are saying this area's got them.
And you knew. I mean, you had enough bites. You're only 2 bites away or a bite away from going out. At this point in time, you have almost 11 pounds. So.
And this is what, the first period?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. But I mean, if you look at the score tracker at this particular point on the first period, and you say, "Hey, Jeff or Jacob, we're going to give you 5 pounds 11 ounces at the first period," you're like, "I'll take my chances. I'm going out in the second period, or I'll definitely go out in the very beginning of the third period, and we'll see how it plays out." But yeah,
it was brutal tough. You know, it was tough on us. All of the anglers, for the most part. I mean, Mark had a couple solid fish, but all of us were struggling.
Jacob, I've got a question for you.
I didn't need to do anything. So,
do you throw your buzzbait? I know you throw it so much. Do you throw it on like fluorocarbon or braid or mono?
So I've actually gone through multiple different deals. I've started to throw it on braid more. The only issue with braid, it doesn't sometimes as well. You get cut into itself a little bit more than a fluorocarbon will. I throw it on fluorocarbon as well, but I mean, it sort of goes against the top water thing, but I mean, you can throw a buzzbait on fluorocarbon, but I normally switch between the fluorocarbon and the braid. The braid, you open up your hooks a little bit more if you pull on them and yank on them a little bit harder. So you got to be paying attention to that. So that's the only reason. When I'm around this kind of stuff, I like to throw that braid because it's a direct connect. You gets it. I pull them out of that stuff. And the thing is, it seems like a lot of people go too heavy of a rod. You don't need to do that. When you throw a buzz, great. I throw it on my medium heavy, my 7-foot medium heavy, and that, and I'll throw it with a fast gear ratio, 8:3 to 1, or higher gear ratio. Where they bite it, you got to connect to them and really reel them in. I've gotten more on the braid side, but you definitely have to be careful about it.
Yeah.
That.
Montgomery throws he does that frog buzzer a whole lot too. He throws it on 20 pounds. Remember, Chris Bumgardner was really good at that. He always threw on 20-pound plugs.
Who came up with it? Was it Baumgartner?
I don't know.
I think it's
all those guys over there out in the East Coast, throw that deal. But a lot of them throw it on floor carbon.
Yeah. I can see that.
You can see here that the day, even in that 15-minute break that we had there, that the sun has come out and things are going to start changing. It looks like,
I was hoping it would stay in and them suckers would start biting. I stopped on these stripe. They're blowing up.
This place is similar to the ones I've been running in the creeks, but this is the main lake spot. Just going to run it real quick, see if I get a bite on it.
I'm surprised old Vincent didn't catch some fish like a jerk bait or something out on point.
Post it on if anybody starts catching.
I will.
Even a single fish. I'm just.
Greg's good at it, dude. You watch him on, the other cups and in the other events on Bass Pro Tour. He does a lot of damage on a jerk bait.
I remember you started out this round with a fish right out of the gate, and I'm like, here he comes.
Maybe.
I felt good. I actually picked up a little flat side right there, and I started paying attention to what this fish. And I was worming that little flat side around those bushes, and trying to get. Because I couldn't get them to bite my buzzbait really well, but I still knew they were around, suspended in those green bushes. I'm like, they're eating real small bait. I'm like, what can I throw? And I just picked up a little flat side to try to foil flat side to try to do something a little different.
I'm glad you blew through that area because that looked just like what they were on.
I caught them on it too. I got on a couple of those little points that they actually were on, and it seemed like there was multiple fish on.
Dang, Jeffrey.
But it was just, you also sometimes in this format, what ends up happening, especially in a cup, you don't have practice. You sometimes try to make an area work too long, and you don't adjust fast enough. And it happens a ton. And you get that momentum and you're killing it, and then all of a sudden you stop. And then all of a sudden you don't make that adjustment, and you're just trying to get a couple more fish to get out, and then too late. Oh, I see you, Sprague. I see you reeling one in.
I found that old blind hog, found that acorn right there. That stuff was good. Those outside bushes on that existing bank line out there. That's where I really had some opportunities there, and I lost some fish. And then we'll see. They'll show it. There's no doubt in my mind. One that I needed, but we'll see.
I do know why it's fall fish.
Are you in that pocket right there on the left? Like right underneath the bridge right there?
Yeah. Yeah, I go in there and then I go down one or two more pockets right there on the left.
Yeah, that looks exactly like that one. I remember.
I started a little short, and I figured I'd pick up a crankbait just for the fact that.
See, I'm feeling pretty good at this point in time. Like, hey, they will.
If you're watching the show right now, you're thinking Wheeler's fixing to do work on them, and he wants to squeak in
he
and
came
go
back
out.
Two real quick, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Superman done flown in.
Yeah, an adjustment, but it wasn't. That's the thing is, in this situation, that point right there is basically the mouth of the pocket that Jeff's in right now. And I'm just slowing down with that crankbait, which is not just to try to, just deflect it off stuff and try to act like a little shadow that this fish were keying. And there was a lot of current right there. There's a lot of current that came down through there.
You don't see someone try to
sort of worming it through there.
Really a good technique, but a lot of these fish are
I really thought Brent. It seems like if I remember correctly, Brent's fixing to get on them too, and I went back to where I had left off, and I run onto a little dry spell, and Brent catches 2 or 3 offshore. I remember seeing him out away from the bank, and I just knew he was fixing to go out. There's OE catching him Good one. I
You know
wait for him to light them up too.
Yeah, he's got a hook set that you don't want no part of.
You know what's so interesting? So when we go to these cup events and people have prior history on these bodies of water, you always instantly think as a professional, as a pro angler, like, man, that guy's going to wreck them. This guy's going to catch them because he knows more about that body of water. And a lot of times knowledge on a body of water does tend to help. But it's so many times that I've come to these cup events and you think the guy's going to wreck them or get out first or qualify. They end up towards the bottom of the list. So it's sort of a crazy thing.
It's that history that we talked about, you know, and that's what a lot of people. So, you know, let's just say you're watching this show right now and, you know, they're like, oh, you know, you guys have been there. A couple of you guys have been there a few times. And we keep telling, you know, over and over that we would prefer almost to go to a body of water with no knowledge, you know, of that body of water, with no history there, because you get to fish with an open mind and actually just fish for the fish instead of, oh, I'm going to run around the corner up to this creek because they live in there. I caught them there in the spring 3 years ago or whatever. That's 3 years ago in the spring. And so whenever you go to a body of water, just say even your local lake, and you go and fish a pocket and you're like, I've never caught them over there. You seem, you know, you can't, they live everywhere. They live almost in every single pocket, in every creek, on every lake. And there's something that triggers those fish at a certain time of the year for them to go there, or the bait gets there, or the water gets high, or something for them to go there. And that's why you, even on your home bodies of water, you have to keep it all honest. You know, you have to keep trying it at a different time of the year and see when those fish go there. So, and that's why the whole, you know, local knowledge and things like that doesn't come into play sometimes. You know, whether we go to Chickamauga, where you're at now, Jacob, or where, you know, or Mark, where you feel comfortable, or just say Pickwick, Kentucky Lake, if we're not offshore, you know, and so on and so forth.
Come on. The weights are tight, and the
Yeah,
pressure
man.
is building on Fort
That's
Gibson
exactly
Lake.
right.
Four
I know there's
anglers
20
will
times I'm
survive
sitting
today's
here.
sudden death round, and 14
Yeah,
pounds is
I
the
mean, that's
target to
definitely
hit.
right.
Mark Rose is within striking distance, but Jacob Wheeler and Brent Ayler are catching up quickly.
Oh, I was
If
feeling
Rose
it,
doesn't
man. I
close
got
out,
that little,
he'll
I was like, oh.
find a productive area. Close
Hey.
You've got that, you know,
Oh,
and there's nothing better feeling than you're in the top 2 or 3. You know, you kind of got that momentum going in your direction, and you're fishing good. You're feeling good about it. People don't realize the devastation that shows up whenever you start hitting that dry spell. You start fishing faster a little bit, trying to make it happen. You know, you wonder what changed. So, yeah.
momentum's everything. People don't realize they're like, there's momentum in bass fishing. I'm like, are you kidding?
Big
Yeah,
time.
especially with score tracking.
Yes.
It's infinitely more important now than it ever has been because you can start to see that mental side of it. When you know you're getting behind, you start feeling like rushed in a hurry, like you were talking about, Jeff. And then if you're coming at and you're from the bottom and you're coming up, you're like, oh, you ain't catching them, and you can smell that weakness.
Well, what happens is people don't realize, like, when you're in the bottom and you're fishing and you're almost like, man, I'm just going to fish how I feel comfortable. I'm out right now. And when you start getting things going in your direction and you start catching them, well, you're getting your mind right and you're getting traction. And the guy who's in front of you, like, just say you're up there in second place or Mark, and then you got a guy who's moving up that leaderboard quick. Now it starts putting pressure on him, and he's going to start fishing a little different. And that's what people don't understand about that score tracker. Is it puts pressure on you even though you're at the top right now and there's a guy breathing down your neck. So
hey, look, it's Marty with Indiana Jones with his binos. The sucker can't see. He got Indiana Jones over there.
I keep waiting for him to say, and if you just look through my binoculars over the ridge here, you'll see there's a good Chick-fil-A. We plan on going there for lunch, you know.
It was in the elimination rounds that these anglers are fishing.
That's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Just below the surface lures. They've got to
I remember coming by you in this creek right where you were, just on the camera just showed you, Jacob. I remember paddling back into that creek and seeing you throwing that buzz bait, and I'm like, yes, because I done figured out that deal wasn't happening.
You're like, hey, but at that point in time, I'm thinking, hey, Mark's slowing down. I'm sitting here, you're slowing down. That area that I figured you probably went back to that area that you caught him in, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, I might be all right. You know, you go through little zones where you feel like, man, you know, I can make this work. I was catching some smaller fish, catching some scoreable fish, but I wasn't catching a lot of big ones. Oh gosh.
You see that fish right there?
Greg.
That fish right there cost me going out. That was the fish that cost me going out of this and making it into the.
You've already lost. You've already lost 2.
Yeah, and that was a good fish. That was
Probably a 3-pounder.
Yeah, it was a good 2.5 pounder.
Yeah.
And if I catch that fish, I would have gone out. If any of the other fish would have put me out. But hey, that's fishing. I mean, I lose them, y'all lose them, we all lose them.
And that was not as graceful as Bobby Lane.
If there's any tip on that same note, if there's any tip that I can give any aspiring tournament fisherman out there, it is keep this sport in perspective. Because just like Jeff Sprague said right then, you're going to have, I mean, you got to, or it's going to consume you. It's going to drive you crazy. You're going to finish first, you're going to finish last, and you're going to finish everywhere in between. So, ride the wave when you're catching them good and doing good. When you're down at the bottom, try to learn from what you did wrong and just move right on. Don't let it consume you.
That one surprised me.
I've learned that in the last 1.5 or 2 years, and I'll give credit there even to Marty Stone, because he's been there alongside my boat numerous times. Like Jacob, think about it. Mark's got him a good in here.
Jacob, back there by where I come idling by you.
Oh, I know where you're at.
But just like we was talking about down in Okeechobee, Jacob, when you and I were fishing, so close to one another, and the amount of lost fish there, and things like that, big ones. I mean, those big females showed up, and gosh, you just coulda, woulda, shoulda, but that's bass fishing.
I know. I see you. Hey, what the heck, Sonny?
Yep, that's officially in violation.
Got him too.
No way. I saw you go. What the heck?
Like an osprey.
Hey, what happened there?
I was boat flipping him, and he come off on that spinner bait. So I'm just throwing Strike King, a little 3/8 ounce Strike King spinner bait.
I'll take it because I don't want to take it.
That's that fish that came off. I mean, I visually saw that fish. He looked like he was hooked well inside the corner of the mouth, like like we catch a lot of them there on a spinner bait. And when I went to boat flip him, he was on the right side. He was laid up. I don't know why he came off, but what he did. I've thought about that fish numerous times over the after I got eliminated from this.
This is our spinnerbait rod loose with a Pro TI 7.5-1, 17 fluorocarbon. This is a little Strike King spinnerbait, 3/8 ounce, and we can get bites. I mean, it's just going to be a matter of can we get enough bites in the right amount of time. So,
were you on more main lake stuff, or were you in pocket there?
That was those fish I got out on a main lake stretch with you can see where the trees and the bushes were kind of right. There weren't so many, and I got a good stretch right there where truthfully I probably should have went out, and I just lost those several fish that and it's because they were coming out of those bushes, and the way they were eating it. I was making too long. I feel like I was making too long a cast. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 1 pound, 5 ounces.
Christie's coming in hot.
Sucker caught him off that. That's the stretch of Mark caught him on.
That's that same stretch I caught him on right out of the gate.
Mark Wells right there.
Now is that in the lieu of all you guys going up there for the field?
Dang, Mark, you got a hook set, son. Look at you. You were catching quality on those trees. It seemed like they were quality.
That's a good
one. Good feeling right here.
Pounds, 5 ounces.
Yeah, baby.
That was him.
Oh, chunk.
That's it. That's the one he needed.
Strike cream rage bug in his face. Mike Iaconelli would say, yeah. And you worked so hard against the best fisherman in the world. Actually, that was a Strike King menace.
First angler reached the target weight of 14 pounds.
Yeah, I'm still chunking and whining. I can see Mark back there. Mark, what weight were you flipping? Because it's always interesting to see what size weight were you flipping on your flipping setup.
I had two. I had a 3/8 ounce and a half ounce. I don't know if you guys can see that, but
It's against the grain a little bit. Plain water. You would think spinnerbait, water column. These fish are actually right on the edge.
Well,
On a piece of hard cover. If it's way up flat, no good. It's got to be right in that fall. That's my gut told me. I trust my gut, even though I rabbit with coyotes behind me. Thank the good Lord for going on the championship round and the first ever Patriot Cup.
Good job, Mark. Hey, were you right then? Were you talking about those? You were catching those fish on a roll, kind of where it started to roll where the trees were.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna try to talk about that, but I wanted to let it play out. But yeah, two deals: a 3/8 ounce where it was real shallow, on pole standing timber seemed to be like right in the back where any kind of little standing timber, they were at the base of it, right on that drop. And then if you had a really green bush, I was throwing the 1/2 ounce and just letting it fall through all those shad real fast, and you get a reaction strike. Seemed like I couldn't get them to come all the way to the top, and they weren't at the base. They were just suspended. And we fish that way on the Mississippi River quite a bit. If you know, because we have those tall willow trees like on Tunica. And
Man, Marty,
let me talk about
I
this.
knew it was going to be fairly tough because the same lake we fished. I had a little nugget that I found up there flipping those same little green bushes, but things started developing that it didn't necessarily have to be a green bush, and it just something hard out on a little break line. I think this water's falling. You can see it, but man, just excited to have the opportunity. More than anything, more than trying to win this tournament, I want the opportunity to make that world championship.
Talk about the first thing this morning. We give you the target weight of 14 pounds, and you get off to a pretty nice start. How important in sudden death, more so than any round, to get that first bite?
Well, it lets you know that what you're doing is the right thing. But then to get a few pounds ahead of everybody starts to rush them a little bit. And you want to try to make everybody fish fast.
See, I don't feel so bad because, when Christy loses them and you guys lose them, Jacob has them blow up on his buzzbait, not get them. It's just, you know how it is. It's just frustrating. You're just like, you work so hard for that bite, and then for it to not materialize and go on the score tracker.
Yeah. But like I was saying, that water was falling really fast. So they were a lot of fish were at the bases of the pole standing timber. And I don't think those were the fish that were necessarily feeding up really hard on those shad. The fish that wanted to really feed up on those shad was suspended up in the green bush. So I was catching those fish that had kind of pulled off, kind of being a little bit lethargic out there on that drop. I catch a lot of fish like that. And then up in the suspend, there's so many fish in Fort Gibson that they were on a little bit of both deals, down here and then suspended up on eating on those shad. It was a 2-part deal. And like I said, I got one bite in that first round, late in the day at the elimination round that clued me into the rest of this tournament.
It carried you.
Jacob got it too. He just didn't listen.
I tend to like to just cover a little bit more water and just, whatever. I never caught him off the timber though. I caught him off the green bushes, and then I transitioned, and then I got a little bit of a different clue. I come back, and then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, So tell me, Mark, I want to know your setup. Congratulations, by the way. Obviously, I was envious. I was sitting there. Jeff and I are still out here battling, trying to figure this thing out. Tell me your setup. I know you heard it there. What rod, what reel, what line? You talked about the menace and I believe the rage bug. Just sort of go into that real quick, because I'm just interested in myself.
Yeah, flipping it was a 7-2 ledge rod that Team Lou's Custom Pro. It's a rod that I throw a 1 ounce and 3/4 ounce football jig offshore a lot, but it's just basically a 7-2 heavy. 25-pound Seagar in Vizex or Tatsu, one of the two. I can't remember exactly which one I was using. 3/8 ounce and 1/2 ounce weight with a Mustad 4/0 KVD wide gap grip pin hook. I really like that grip pin flipping in the bushes because it's got the little keeper on it, the grip pin, and it's really efficient. So yeah, it was just covering a lot of water with that 7-2 and flipping.
Now, is that do you flip a straight chain very often, or do you just like that? You like a wide gap hook?
I like the wide. I was flipping the rage bug a lot earlier on, and then even I was in this one until I got on that menace. And
this is his
so the
backyard.
rage bug is a little bit beefier. You guys got the same thing, a
It's gonna suck.
little
We're gonna
creature
have
bait
one
like that. It's a little bulkier. That's when I like
illegal fish to go out there.
a wide gap hook
And it ain't easy
for
to
that
get right.
bulkier bait to allow for the
So I
bite.
went over here to catch one. I
What about you,
caught there,
Sprague?
one.
Are you a fly? Are you straight shank or are you a wide gap most of the time?
Well, I'll be honest with you guys. This year at Eufaula, I mean, I have no hook sponsor. I buy my hooks, and I was buying. I don't know. I don't want to get in the bind and say what I was buying, but I was buying a brand of hook, and I have a handful of those hooks in my cup holder in my boat. Every single one of them, when I would catch a fish, the tip would bend out or in. I mean, the very tip of the hook would roll, and I didn't even notice it until I flip out there and I'd get a bite and I'd set the hook, and then I wouldn't get a fish on, and when I'd go to unhook the fish, the very tip would be rolled in. It's like it was too fine. So I dug in my box and pulled out some straight shanks and went to a straight shank hook instead of an offset. And so I've actually changed this year from an offset hook to a straight shank and started flipping it more. And that's pretty much what I've gone to after Eufaula, I've gone to a straight shank hook for the remainder of what I've been fishing. It's really weird, and I'm not a fan of changing mid-season or in my career, just what I have believed. And maybe I got a bad batch of hooks, which very well could happen. Everybody's can attest to having bad line, bad hooks, bad rod, or something like that. You buy two of the same rod and it'd be bad, just got a bad batch. But it cost me some money. It cost me a big fish at Eufaula. That's how I found the hooks out. I hung the biggest fish that I had at Eufaula, and she jumped off, and it was a big one. It was like a 7-pound, and obviously needed that fish for heavy hitters. I pulled it in, went to put my worm back on the hook, and the very tip of the hook was just rolled out, and they were just too fine. So that's another thing. Anytime that you buy and you're fishing, just check your equipment. I actually talked to Andy Morgan about that, and he says, in Andy Morgan's terms, Sprague, he's like, boy, you got to file all them hooks down. It don't matter if they knew out of the package, you got to check them. You know how he is. And so, I've learned a lesson there. Sometimes out of the package is not always the greatest. Got to change treble hooks and check your hooks, even though you pull them right out. But straight shank.
It was pretty interesting to see Christy over here throwing a lipless.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not anticipating that. Seeing a lipless. I mean, obviously they're on shad, but it was sort of like in that situation, there's so much cover. I'm not anticipating that lipless bite to be a main deal.
Jacob, that's that area where I started, and I told you earlier they were schooling out away from the bushes. That was the only area that I could seen that you could possibly do that in.
Yeah.
Because they were out in open water right in that area where he's at.
That must have been a son of a gun. Oh, Jason Christie, that's son of a gun. He's a really versatile angler as well. We don't really – you think of him as a flipper and everything else, and he is, but it's just amazing to see in the last, I think, 5 years how versatile so many anglers have started to adapt and change. Because I think if you become a generalist, I mean, a generalist is a good thing. Specialist, you might have your specialties you like to do, but you have to be pretty general in a lot of ways to be able to fish multiple techniques in this format. To
the complete systems provider. Enjoy Crockett Creek.
So many are. I don't know that they're. I mean, I can't think of anybody that's one-dimensional. I mean, look, Andy Montgomery won last year at or Morgan won last year at Chickamauga, and he was throwing the lipless crankbait a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Absolutely right.
Jason Christie has caught a 1-pound.
So now there's 2 spots left, and at this point in time, I felt pretty confident that I was going to be in. I'm only 2 pounds out. So if I get one quality bite, which was, I haven't caught a big one throughout the day, so I'm like, heck, I'm good. So I seen Mark and how he was catching them. I knew he was already out. I knew he was sitting there and taking his time, and I just waved at him and said, I'm going to stick with my crankbait. I'm not, and you do that. You can see sometimes anglers will adjust as they see anglers doing things, but when you get in your own little deal and you feel like you're doing, like what I'm doing is right. In my mind, I thought it was. And so I'm like, I have enough of an opportunity to make it, to get out. I only need 2 more bites or 1 more bite for that matter. So I'm sitting there with my crankbait and flipping stick.
See, look right there. Edwin pulling out a backlash. We all get backlashes.
Hey, you better
I
believe
get
it.
my share.
Ain't that's the truth.
Had enough bites to go out on top, but
Seeing the normal Jacob Wheeler right there, when he pulled it past that green bush, the normal Jacob Wheeler would have caught a 3-pounder and went out right there. You know,
That's
like
normally how it goes sometimes. That's the way it happened right there, though.
Brent Ayler's now.
Dang, Ayler's coming back. See, that was the thing is you get in this position and you're like, dude, I'm ready to go.
start fishing. Yeah, yeah.
And you're only two. So now this is what's going through my mind at this point in time because I'm thinking, okay, listen, I had 2 points and I'm catching them on. 2 little like flat points. The
Go
shadow.
back. Yeah.
And so like I'm thinking like, all right, do I try to just make this work and try to catch 2? If I get 2 bites or 1 good bite, I'm good to go. Or do I go to new water? Well, most of the time you should probably stick where you're at, lock it in your hand, and go with what you got. But see, everybody else, see, Ayler just caught him.
Go, but it's not the.
It's getting close now.
Yeah, it's getting down to the cut and see, Ayler's got that. He's got the confidence. He knows he's doing the right thing, so he's going to stay at it. Where now you, like you just described just then, you're trying to make the right decision, and Ayler's just going to keep it in his hand and keep going, you know, and make it happen.
Got that momentum and that pattern's working out.
Exactly right. There he goes.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, that was it right there. That was it right there.
Dang.
I wasn't paying attention. That was it. That was him right there. Was not paying attention.
It's the same thing, Mark, what you were doing, like right on the same little stretches. Like if anything, while people are watching this, like I'm learning it, and I knew that, but it's getting to those stretches that there's not a whole bunch of water behind those bushes. There's only so many options to fish to go to.
God, it's a big. Stay on there.
Look at Edwin. Real on one end.
Edwin said at the end of that thing when he was scratching his head and, you know, wondering why we weren't catching just all these giants, he says that place is absolutely chock full of 3-pounders. And I'm looking back on it now, I see where I was catching them on 2 different deals. You know, there's a lot of fishing.
Well, I'm going to run out of time.
Your better quality came on those actual standing trees, though. Am I right? You seen that way?
It was both. It almost was situational. You know?
I would definitely look. You know what? You give that place a year or 2, and let us go back with the amount of fish that are in there, the small ones, and the amount of bait that was in there this last fall when we filmed this and we fished this. That place is going to just continuously get better and better and better. It's going to be full of bass. Be a great place to just go catch fish.
I wish they keep that place up.
Yeah, it would make
Just
it a lot
little
better.
bit.
Yep.
A little bit.
You know, Biffle lives right there next to it. He's got his, cycle center and all that. His son-in-law, Jason, and Tommy Biffle. And, I talked to him after the event. He just, obviously Biffle's just as tight-lipped as they come. And, I don't ask him any questions, but he's like, was it good? And I'm like, it wasn't good. He goes, well, he said, it's going to get good. That's about the information from Biffle when it comes to that. But that place has got them. I do like it.
Well, because that water had been like 20 feet high all year long.
That bridge that you guys can see in the shots. Yeah, it's all the way. It was all the way up to the causeway at one point from what I saw.
I remember early in the year there were some events that had to be canceled and postponed, and they ended up not having them there because the water was so high, and so the fishing pressure wasn't the issue that it had. It was just the fact that the fall. I remember fishing a tournament this exact same time of year where it took like 8 pounds a day to get a paycheck, and so it wasn't. I thought this one right here was going to do it. I was so excited. I hurt. I thought, oh yeah, and then I'm like, nope.
Oh, look, he even had the flipper in his hand.
I flipped that one up.
Yeah.
1 pound, 8 ounces.
I'm like, dang it. How about just a half pound, 3/4 of a pound more?
Regardless of clutch.
That's how close it is,
I know. Sprague, let me hear something. What you been up to since all this stuff's been going on?
Man, I've been doing a lot of crappie fishing, and I've been chasing a turkey for the past few weeks, and spending a lot of time at the deer lease, social distancing, spending some time with the family. Our turkeys are henned up. We hunt up in the panhandle of Texas, and it's different. But I've been social distancing and staying out in the country and staying away from everybody, trying to let this craziness passed by. You guys all good down there where you're at, Mark and Jacob?
Yeah. All good here. The same. Been crappie fishing, planting tomatoes, getting the garden ready, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you guys can see right now.
I haven't been diverse enough.
There. I don't know if you can see through the crack. That's where I've been spending a lot of time catching crappie.
That's your pond up there behind the house, isn't it?
Yeah, it's loaded with crappie, and that's what I've been doing. Just staying home, just social distancing. So that's a wrap, guys. Hey, really enjoyed hanging out with you two, Batman and Superman here, superheroes and fishing. You guys stay tuned next week. You'll see the second round of, I guess, stage 2, or no, it would be the sudden death round 2. So y'all stay with us.
Hey, Mark, I think we're right back right here. They got a little bit more time left on this thing. So you were already out at this point in time, so you didn't even know how this all went down. I remember this. There's just a little bit more. We got
still one more left. You're right.
Now,
Mark trying to kick us off here early.
It doesn't matter, guys. This is boring.
I want to go back to the room, man.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Oh, there's 2 left. That's right.
Shoot. I still have a chance.
He's wishful thinking you, Jacob, trying to get you out there early because he knows the damage you can do, how quickly it can happen.
Hey, I was sitting there. I was so upset that I didn't go out. I'm like, because I know. I'm like, and Edwin's right there. I mean, we're all sort of sitting in that position. And I'm like, I mean, you're right there. I mean, it's really just a couple bites. You get on one stretch and you catch them like that. So it's like, I know a lot of things are going through your mind at this point in time. And like in my mind, I need one portable fish to get out.
It can happen.
And then you got 2 3-pounders or 2.5 pounders in your out.
You can go.
Which is very possible.
I'm usually always in. This is a nerve-wracking position, man.
This one right here, it's always so difficult to make decisions when you're in the middle. Like you see the urgency of a situation, knowing that you got to get up there. Every cast counts, every second counts. You know, at any point in time, these guys are going to go out. And I knew that. There's no doubt about that.
Get anything else out of here? I heard some fish popping back here in the backside, so let's just go through there and see what happens.
Greg's just such a laid back guy. You know, he's so laid back, you know, and doesn't get, you know, Edwin's high strung, you know, I'm high strung. You can kind of see the guys who get, you know, fired up about it when they lose one or get one. And you can just look at the face he makes when he's got one, you know.
Oh, he gets fired up. Oh, Edwin gets fired up. Like,
Hit it on the way down.
And that's him laid back. I mean, he's, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's him laid back.
You hear him say that he hit it on the way down? That was the whole key around those green bushes. It wasn't the case in the standing timber. They were right at the base. But in the green bushes, it was the first 2 feet of the water column.
Look at me. I'm sitting there flipping I'm just trying to flip just like you, Mark. I just try to pick up that flipping stick and try to eke me one more out is all I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Edwin, that's something that's got that hook set.
He does.
Wow. And he reels so fast when he has them suckers coming. Like he's just like, there ain't no finesse to reel them in. He's got to be throwing 30-pound line every time.
Rail
Yours is caught a 1 pound 8-ounce fish. He's at 13 pounds 9 ounces.
Golly.
His next score goes out, huh?
Yeah.
There's 3 of them.
All of y'all are like one fish and you're out.
I know.
Where did Ott find
I know.
water?
Otter's way up a creek.
He's not even in Oklahoma anymore. He's done made his way to Missouri, probably.
He's out there in the Missouri hills and they up some creek. Dang.
Oh.
What'd that one come on, Sprague?
Spinnerbait. That's why I wasn't diverse enough here, guys. And I mean, I've learned that now by watching the show. I never picked up a flipping stick to get that clue. And I wasn't around anyone. I think that, you know, sometimes being around people a little bit, especially someone that's gone out like Mark, I mean, you know, hey, we're fishermen, and you know, you're going to look over and see if a guy's whaling on them. And if you see Mark flipping and you know that that's the deal, I just never got around any other competitors. So I just continued to do what I was doing and just covered water. And I mean, it was working. It was just slow for me. And I never had it just completely dialed in, you know, on that stuff that you guys are talking about with the flipping and things. Look how many fish Edwin has lost there, you know.
That's insane.
This
actually went on for a little while. Like, it was not like it just, and I'm thinking like the start of the third, we're just, hey, someone's going to catch a couple, it's going to be over. And it actually went longer than I anticipated. I mean, we actually had a little time to make an adjustment, not knowing, but we actually did.
Guys, there's enough bass in this little low pocket right here.
I saw some fish, you know, they talk about chasing here and there. I see one.
Good one. Goodness gracious. How did I miss him? Like, he just didn't have it.
Right out of the bush.
That's a better one.
See, I tried to catch him on them dang docks suspended because I figured with the water dropping, I'd catch him doing that, and I never got a bite doing it. And the otter's really winning right now.
That's a good one.
It is. It's a good one.
6 ounces.
Almost 3 pounds.
Jeff, if you'd have flipped a menace right back in there, you'd caught him.
Caught another fish, 2 pounds.
We needed to know something. That's
Hey, Mark, next time I miss one, I flip back in there on a menace and I catch him, I'm gonna give you the praise on that. I
no
promise you.
doubt.
That don't work everywhere now. I'm just saying at that particular bush, it would have worked.
Dang. Do you feel like, see, sometimes they get real weird about that they bite it on top. I don't like to always like, do you flip back with a bait a lot of times, or do you end up like, I kind of throw a top water bait back in? I'll look at Edmund, just went out.
He's gone out.
What do you think, Sprague?
Art.
That's a good feeling he's having right now. That's a good place to be in.
2
It
pounds,
is.
0 ounces.
I've been there plenty of times. It's
Not always.
You're on that side.
Yes. Dang it, that took forever.
Edwin Everson's caught a 2-pound fish that puts him over the target weight.
Oh, and Ayler's so close right there too. He's, you know, half
One-
a pound out.
one scoreable.
One bite.
And I'm sitting and saying, that's me running in there right there on the left, where I was like,
So many stinking
one
blue
bite.
bites, but that's what I did it on right there. Pit boss, just Okeechobee crawl, Bass Pro weight. They are scattered. This lake's got big ones in it, I promise you. I don't know why we struggled so bad. But we're
Yeah,
moving
he was
on.
real adamant about that.
We good?
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're going to
I know
the
you
Kinda
can't do
how
that.
I'm sure we all felt there. I
Right.
do know that place has got them. I
It took forever.
think I may have been there twice in 2 like Toyota Series, Costa Series events, and I believe I've made top 10s both times I've been there, and I really like that place. It wasn't as high, and it was at that time of the year. It's usually in the the spring. That history up and bit me.
To General Tires Major League Fishing.
Edwin said that he was catching them on that pit boss. It looked like it was the small one. You know, they make and that seemed to be the key. And in my opinion, those threadfin shad, they look 2.5 inches. And when I went to that minutes, it made all the difference in the world.
Oh, man.
that's so interesting. Yeah, it's all profile a lot of times. That profile is a huge deal. It doesn't need to be the exact color, it's profile. That's good. I mean, it's little smaller little plastics. I'm sitting there and I'm still like, come on. I'm like, we're both, Ayler and I are 1 bite away. Craig, you're 1 bite away, one good one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's so crazy about this. Like in the fall, in general, is always a tough time to fish. Seems to be that way right now.
You don't think, oh, 3 pounders are pretty hard to come
I mean, it's in this particular moment. We know. I think you feel that urgency. You know, like any point in time, like, don't tell me score tracker update.
Yeah.
This morning,
Fall
got
fishing
me
is
a bad
just
lay,
it's
and then I
just
wanted
tough
to
a
like
lot of
out
times.
fish
You know,
the
there's the
remainder
bait comes up and the fish get scattered and they get keyed on that bait. It's really hard to it's hard to catch them.
It's that water has been so warm all year, and they just get funky, man. It just seems like if you get a tournament on your schedule that's in August, September, you better know it could be a grind.
It just seems like the fish start to get on that small bait, and when that happens, it gets so selective of what they actually are going to eat.
That's
Like
right.
you can wind a big swim bait by them, and they will not even get it or I touch it. But in the post spawn, like when they first get out there, they're just wanting to feed. If it's a big bluegill, if it's a big shad, if it's a little shad, they bite it.
Yeah.
This time of year, it's not the case. It seems that way.
In the fall, you'll see them schooling on little shad that big.
The worst.
You boat flip them and they spit those little bitty shad up, and you don't even have a bait in your box you can mimic that with a lot of times, you know.
You need
I do, 'cause I keep crappie baits in there.
Hey, you never know when Mark's going to try to bring dinner home, you know.
Went back to the last two decisions I made have been went back to the places that I had fish bite me at.
You know, you listen to Jacob talk right here, and that's what really cool about our format of Bass Pro Tour and everything that Major League Fishing does is we're talking ourselves through what we're thinking a lot of times on camera. So you're inside of our head, you know, when we're frustrated or when we're dialed in or what we're thinking about, you know, you're just sounding it off yourself, you know, a lot of times. I mean, I do it, you see you guys do it, and it's just really, it's good information, and the guys that pay attention to these shows, it'll make them a better fisherman, you know, it really will.
Yeah.
Man, I'm pulling for both of you guys right now. I'm just wanting one of y'all catch them.
I'm working hard. Trust me, I'm working hard.
Oh,
Taylor switched up from flipping bushes, and I heard it, and I'm like,
I don't know if it is.
that fish, that little jut out right there that Ayler just fished, normally when the water's at normal pull, I can.
And I caught one off of a dang topwater on that exact jet out earlier. So I ran through the place that I got bit on, okay? Yeah. And that was the one place that I did not go back to. Ayler goes out on it. That just tells you right there.
Did he just go out?
He went out right there. And that was the exact place that I caught that fish on that topwater in the first period, but I was rotating through the place that I got bit on.
Oh my goodness.
So I think that was it, right? That was all of them. That's the top 4 places.
That's 4 right there, but you know, crazy. First man out, Sprague, me and you. We're just sitting there. Here we go. Score tracker update. Yeah, exactly. That is the worst feeling though when you're sitting there. But I mean, I had every opportunity in the world. Sprague, you did too.
Absolutely.
Mark.
Yeah. Congratulations, Marcos. You did it. You throttled us again.
Thanks, guys. I tend to congratulate y'all a whole lot more than y'all get a chance to congratulate me.
I
don't know about that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the rest of the show shakes out and see who takes that big buck home.
I can't beat my head against the wall flipping those bushes. There was too much water. This, I felt like if I made a bunch of casts across that point, that one would get it. Sure enough, it did.
Yeah, I knew he was fishing a little point.
Hey, we gave it a good
offshore.
Son of a gun got it done. Dang. Hey, the thing that stinks is the drive home after this one, isn't it, Trey? You're just sitting there and you're like, what did I do wrong? What were they doing?
You know, and here's the thing, just you know, the fish that you lost and the fish that you missed, the same with me. As I'm driving home, I'm just thinking, man, if I could, I didn't get that many more bites than I needed, but if I could have just connected with the ones that I had, same with other guys, you know, Edward would have went out quicker, you would have gone out, you know, but it would have made you feel better about it, you know, other than losing them, boat swinging them, having them just not.
You actually had them hooked. See, there's a big difference of having them blow up on a bait and missing it. It's like, dang it, if they would have got it, it would have been good. But having them hooked and coming to the boat, that's the worst feeling. And they get off, you're looking at the boat, that is the worst.
Bad business.
Funny, both of y'all talk about the drive home, because just in that tip that I was giving earlier, when you get beat, you got to learn, man. If you're not learning, and that's what I think makes these 80 guys some of the best, because when you do get beat, you're always wanting to continue to learn, because you know you get put in that situation again. You don't want to get beat again. Well, guys, hey, it was great hanging out with both of y'all. Good luck in the turkey woods and crappie fishing, and not so much luck next time I compete against you, but it was fun hanging out, guys. Hope everybody gets to tune in on the Sudden Death Round 2 coming up here in a couple weeks. Y'all tune in. There'll be a different group of 3 guys. It's such a pleasure to get a chance to be a part of Major League Fishing. And hey, everybody, Aaron Martins is in the process of recovering from a couple of brain surgeries. Y'all keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And we just here at Major League Fishing want to pray for our country that everybody stays safe out there. God bless you.
Yeah.
See you guys.